Just had an early morning wake up call, so I thought, well, what the heck, might as well make a movie. I mean, all I did, I asked Ziggy for 100 DVDs. I asked for DVDs because Australia just can't handle Blu-ray. In the past 5 or 6 years, down at JB Hi-Fi, we've gone from half an aisle to 2 aisles out of about 10 aisles. So what, that's about 20% uptake in 5 or 6 years? I mean, that's pathetic, isn't it? If it's supposed to be super duper brand new wonderful technology. I mean, yeah, what's going on? You know what it is? I think Australians are wise buggers. I think we've sussed Blu-ray, basically. I think Australians are pretty savvy, and we've said, well, isn't the technology of Blu-ray in the actual box? Isn't it the blue laser and all the bits and bobs in the box that's the important bit? Not the bloody bit of plastic. I mean, isn't it basically just similar plastic sort of thing? You know, it can contain more information on the disc, yes, but it's still just a bit of plastic. And you know what? It's still one scratch and it's gone, basically. Remember in the old days, he used to say you go throw them against the brick wall and they bounce off and not even crack. Now you throw them against the brick wall and they shatter and things like that, and craze and things like that. And you get a bit of dust on them and they won't work. You gotta knock them about, you get a scratch on them, you basically got to throw them in the bin. I mean, they have this bullshit story. I mean, it must be that you can put a bit of paste on them and, you know, rub them down. I've tried things like that. It doesn't work, you know. I think it's just a bullshit story. Yeah. So, in other words, they want us to pay an extra $10 per disc when the real bits and bobs, guts of the argument is in the machine, you know. I think we're pretty wise down in Australia. We're saying, nah. I mean, at least with the, remember the VHS tapes, you know that? I mean, they used to work, you know, something went wrong, it screwed up in your thing, you could take the tape out, you could chop out that little bit, join the tape together, put it back in, and it would still work. You might get a little bit of a glitch for 1 or 3 seconds, but you can still watch the whole thing again. And have you ever noticed that if you left your tapes lying around for 6 months and put them in, they always look better? What was that all about? I know VHS wasn't the best technology, Beta was, but unfortunately we got fobbed off with second-rate technology. Yeah, isn't it? That sounds familiar, doesn't it, being fobbed off with second-rate technology? Whatever happened to DAT tape? Apparently they've had DAT tape in Japan for 20 years. We just don't have it in the West because they can't solve the piracy problem. You know, how to solve the piracy problem? You make every disc $3. That's how you solve the piracy problem. If every disc was $3, I'd go in and buy 45 at a time. That's the answer to piracy. You make the bloody... You know how much these things cost? I did a plastics course, right? 20 cents maximum. With the box, probably 50 cents maximum. And you're paying $30? Who's getting rich? It's not the artist, I can tell you that. I mean, I'm a composer, right? We have this rule of 10%. It's based on the story of the 10 talents, you know? And what the Bible says. Most of our Western laws are based on the Bible and then Magna Carta after that. Basically, it says it's okay to ask and receive 10% of anything. And then, if you really want the 400%, well, you've got to have 10 irons in the fire. And how good are you? It goes back to the jack of all trades, master of none, basically. Most people aren't really good at more than 1 or 2 things. That's what it's all about, really. It's really saying each person has their own talent, or there may be 2 or 3 talents maximum, you know. And if you really want more, really people ought to come together. You know, in the idea of the covenant of society, we all work together. Anyway, that's how you stop piracy, really. You make the bloody things $3. I mean, that's not asking too much, $3. So what? You want more for your Blu-rays? Well, make the Blu-rays $4 then, if you really must. I'll just go in and buy 30 at a time, not 45. How about that? Anyway, I asked Ziggy for 100 DVDs because Australia can't handle Blu-ray. Okay, all I wanted to do was to send them out to old school friends that know me over in WA. You know, people at the museum. Hello, you Uli. Yes, I haven't forgotten you, Uli. Have you forgotten me? I bet you haven't. I bet none of you over there have forgotten me. No. It was, as I say, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But anyway, you know, and the people that you were working on the BATAVIA. You remember that? Neil North, hello Neil North. I haven't forgotten you, because the divers working on the BATAVIA, they were also the photographers usually. So yes, Graham Green, Neil North, and a whole list of others that probably just gone out of my head because I'm probably starting to rant and rave now, but I think I've got a point, haven't I? All I wanted was to make 100 DVDs, not for myself. I wanted to make them for, you know, send them out to other people. People I hadn't seen for years, you know, to say, okay, it's been a long and hard life, but I've seemed to have done all right in the end, sort of thing, you know? You know that thing I stumbled across at Kenton Swamp? That, you know, you probably heard me talking about, you know, ranting on about, you know, as a little 9-year-old child sort of thing whenever we met at the museum. Well, apparently it's the most wonderful plant in the world now. Most likely to be the first plant in the world to have nerves and perhaps even muscles. You know, isn't that wonderful? You know, from a little discovery all those years ago in 1974 at Cancer Swamp, it's gone on, it's taken almost, 40 years, I'm nearly 50. Isn't it about time we got the message out? And I thought, you know, as a little bit of recompense and for all the effort I've been, I asked for 100 DVDs. You know, 100 DVDs. After 15 years, I asked him to make 100 DVDs. How long does it take you to burn a DVD? What, 2 minutes? So what's that? 200 minutes? That's less than 4 hours I'm asking you to do. Less than 4 hours work after 15 years. Is that asking too much? Really? I'm asking for a DVD, not Blu-ray. So, you know, I'm not out to copy them and make millions of them and things like that. My whole neighbourhood could check if I started doing things like that. I'm Australian. That would be a bit sus. Anyway, I think we've sussed you, Ziggy. Yes, we've sussed you. We're a bit savvy about these things, you know. One scratch and it's gone, you can't use it ever again. Nah, I think we're a bit savvy about Blu-ray. Mainly because I think King John Howard did nothing on broadband for 10 years, I think. So we've had that 10 years to think about things. We're the one country in the world with our dead heart and coastal cities that actually requires broadband. Yes, we actually require broadband in Australia. And yet, King John Howard did nothing on broadband for 10 years, and then he chose to do water first and broadband second, when he should have done broadband first and brought the expertise into the country to fix the Murray-Darling-BASIN over the broadband network, so they wouldn't even have to fly into the country. They could just give their expertise online. That's the modern world, isn't it? You give your expertise online, and if it's good advice, you get a nice compensation or recompense for that information. Isn't that where we're supposed to be going? We should have gone back to the moon, we should have gone on to Mars, but somehow greed got in the way. You know, well, I think we need to go back to the moon. We should have already had a moon base by now, and we should have taken our first tentative steps on another planet, not a planetesimal or moon. Okay, because we need to go out there into the universe, because the rate our population is growing, we can't live down here for too much longer. We need to spread out to the universe. Okay, thank you for listening to this rant and rave. Enjoy.